Detroit Lions fans, welcome back in. Hey, these are my favorite shows to do, Will. I like talking these post-game shows after a Lions win, getting my Thanksgiving started a little early. We got a lot of business to take care of this week, a lot of stuff to dive into. But Detroit Lions 10-1, belt to ass on the Indianapolis Colts. How do you how do you feel after this game?
Another W, baby. That's how I feel. It wasn't pretty though. I didn't think it was pretty. It was a little bit ugly, but it could have been uglier. But it wasn't the prettiest thing that I've ever seen. I expected a little bit more points. I think we both did by our score predictions, but I'll take it, man. Easy dub.
I think that the Indianapolis Colts shot themselves in the foot quite a few times. They missed some plays, some bad. I mean, listen, we're the better team. All right, this is not a Colts podcast. I'm just saying what I saw was a lot of penalties on the Colts, a lot of big penalties, a lot of dropped passes, a lot of overthrown balls. I thought that they had a chance to at least make the game interesting,
Yep.
but the Detroit Lions capitalized on a lot of opportunities that the Colts just kept handing us. Like they just kept saying, "Hey, we don't want to get back into this game. We're going to make a stupid mistake, a mental error, a dropped pass that probably would have been a touchdown." I think right before halftime, like they just kept doing a lot of things and took themselves out of the game. Now I think we would have won regardless, but they looked sloppy. I think you're right. I think the Detroit Lions, we got some stuff to talk about as well.
Yeah, we definitely do. I will say it kind of took me back to the old Lions, man, watching the Colts because they have a lot of guys that are really talented football players. But just like you said, they're shooting themselves in the foot. AR-15, man, he's got some talent. Boy, does he have some talent. He was throwing that ball around effortlessly, but his feet are terrible. Even on his handoffs, his feet were bad. Drop back when he's letting the ball go, feet are bad. Uh, I think that if that dude ever puts it together, he's gonna be scary. But it just if he continues on the path that he's on right now, he's just gonna be another one of those guys with a lot of athleticism that doesn't have enough to win football games. A lot of errant throws, a lot of balls sailing on him, a lot of guys wide open, and he overthrew them. So when I think about that, I think about, man, we got through this one, but guys like Josh Allen, they're not gonna miss throws like that. So those are the things that worry me about this game. But just like you said, man, pretty easy dub for the most part.
Here's the thing about Anthony Richardson. I saw him getting frustrated right after the first drive. It seemed like we were just in his head. I think he's got a lot of maturing to do. In the first drive, they go down, kick a field goal. He's over on the sidelines throwing not a major fit, but you could tell like, all right, he's upset. And that was
Yeah.
just kind of the course for the day. Like it's hard for him to get his feet set when Ali McNeil's taking him to a dance school every day too, because him and Ali McNeil were literally hugging almost every play. Ali McNeil for the Detroit Lions, I think, was my defensive player of the game. I didn't pick him, but I think that's who I have to give the game ball to if I'm Brad or Dan Campbell. I think he was an absolute game record today. What stood out to you defensively?
Brian Branch putting hits on everybody in the world. I didn't like the one where he didn't wrap up Pittman. But other than that, man, he was just putting licks on everybody. I didn't like the penalty call. I thought it was the guy was inbounds clearly, and then they said that he used his helmet. He barrels his shoulder down. He wasn't leading with his helmet as he's lowering his shoulder. You got to naturally your head's attached to your neck. Like I mean, what are we doing here? So I don't like those calls, man, because that guy was in bounds and he caught the football, turned upfield. You know, he had an ability to be able to defend himself. So, but other than that, man, I love the physicality from Brian Branch. I think he had an interception that was about to come to him if that ball doesn't get tipped by Carlton Davis. So, guys, we were this close to a Brian Branch jersey being on, but maybe next
I was
week.
thinking it too. I was
Yeah.
thinking, oh, Will's got to take his ass up there and get a jersey from somewhere.
And Branch was literally right there, man, like ready to catch it too. But Carlton Davis got his hands on it, man. I mean, he should know. Let Branch catch it. He's only got one paw. What are we doing? But speaking of him, I hope he's okay, man. I haven't heard. Did you hear anything about what it ended up being with him? Because I saw him grabbing for his knee.
I haven't heard anything official. Guys, the game literally just ended 2 minutes ago, and we jumped right on here. We don't check our phones while we're recording, so if something comes out during that time, we are unaware of it. But man, I hope it's not anything serious because it's one of those non-contact injury things. When they showed the replay, you can't really see anything pop, but yeah, he goes down, points to the inside of his knee, walks off, which is a good sign, but that doesn't mean it's all, we're all in the clear here. We don't know exactly what happened. I don't know I don't want to assume the worst. Maybe he just hyperextended it. Hopefully, just something a little minor. But no, I don't have an official word on Carlton Davis, unfortunately. I'll see if I can get talking.
Yeah, fingers crossed, prayers up, man. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious, and we can move forward and keep doing what we're doing as far as on his side of the field. How do you feel about the other side of the field in that secondary?
Real quick, William. Aaron Glenn. Fun fact: 10 straight quarters, the Detroit Lions have not given up a defensive touchdown. Yeah, he's just sitting back like me after housing the Thanksgiving meal when I get home Thursday and watching some more football. Just propped up with the iPad, chilling, man. Like he just knew his defense put on a clinic today. 10 straight quarters without a defensive touchdown is absolutely insane, given what we've been battling with defensively with injuries. Like this dude is like we talk about him every post game, I feel like, and it's just we can't talk about him enough. You have to keep giving him credit for what he's doing because it's just more injuries today. Like we don't know what's going on with Carlton Davis. We don't know if Terrion Arnold's going to be ready for Thanksgiving. Who else went down, man? I felt like the guys working that blue tent today were the real MVPs because we were just dropping like flies for a minute.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Not defensively, but Taylor Decker got a little bit banged up. David Montgomery got banged up. Both of them. Taylor Decker came back. Yeah, Khalif Raymond he left twice, which was kind of interesting. He got carted off once, came back out, and then went off again. So, not sure what's going on with these guys, but the injury bug makes it make sense to me for what Brad did in this offseason. I was almost like during the offseason thinking, is this overkill? What he's doing? Like, what are we going to do with all of these pieces? We have 27 corners. You know, we're bringing in Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond. He's pretty tough. I get that we wanted a big receiver, an ex-receiver, but is it overkill when you got Jamon, you got Monra already, man? We had Donovan Peoples-Jones at the time. Like, what are we doing? I get it now, man. It's been a lesson learned for me. I thought that we needed some depth pieces, but the depth that we have in Detroit, we have been using all of it and then still having to make phone calls and bring people in, man. So hats off to those guys, man, that's why they're in the positions that they're in.
Yeah, I was really hoping to see Emmanuel Mosley when Carlton Davis went out, but they brought in Khalil Dorsey instead. So, yeah, our secondary is getting tested, and Emmanuel Mosley, I think maybe we see him on Thanksgiving. We'll look into that some more as the week goes. We don't have much time. We only got about 4 days until the next game. But, William, 10-1? Did you ever imagine when the season started that the Detroit Lions would be 10-1 going into Thanksgiving?
Being honest, I did not, man, and I'm just going to be 100% honest. When I went through and I looked at our schedule, I could not find a way that we would be 10-1 sitting at this point. I thought that we would be 11-0. So I'm a little bit disappointed that we have not met my standards.
This guy.
But if we get the Super Bowl win, I won't hold it against them. No, it was I do remember being at work and at the barbershop, one of the two biggest places I talk football outside of this podcast. So at the barbershop and at work, man, I talked and I was just looking through the schedule and I said, and we've said it on the podcast, I just don't feel like when I look at other teams and I go roster for roster, player for player, they're just going to beat us. Like, so I can't just go into a game. This was before anybody got injured, before the season started. I couldn't look at somebody else's roster on the schedule and be like, this team is just going to beat us. So I guess undefeated. You're a homer. You're oh man, like you're nuts, man. They ain't just because they had a one good season, blah blah blah. I'm not surprised that we're 10-1 at all, man. I do understand that the NFL is a very, very tough game to win week in and week out on any given Sunday. Shoot, I didn't think the Colts was going to play us as tough as they did today. They played us a little bit tougher than the score, showed, man. If Anthony Richardson can connect on a few of those plays, if they can score on that first drive, we might be looking at a different football game. I'm not going to say that we would have lost the game, but it could have been an even tougher game than it was, man. So any of these NFL teams, man, can put up a tough football game on any given Sunday. Yet here we sit as a team who's winning week in and week out, man. I'm excited about it. How you feeling?
Yeah, I wouldn't have projected 10-1. I think I can't remember what I said my projection would be. I think I was at like 7-3, 8-2, something like that. But I mean, I'm not far off. We're talking 1 or 2 games. And realistically, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game's just not sitting right with me. And I know it's in the past, but looking at it now, like we could be undefeated. We could be talking about ifs and buts and candy and nuts, but it's not the way it is.
What makes that right, though?
What's that?
So to me when I was thinking about, because I said that at the barbershop, but I was talking to my boy CJ. Shout out to you, that's my barber. But I said, man, I felt like we should have won the Tampa Bay game, but at the same time, I feel like we shouldn't have won the Houston Texans game. So it's almost like it kind of evened itself out in the world, I guess, so to speak. My bad, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, how dare you? How dare you think that we shouldn't have won that Houston Texans game? We dominated them from coin toss to whistle. All right, it
Hey,
just ended.
I believe you. I believe, and I quote, you said the Lions go out and steal.
Yeah, that was actually probably the title of the video when we put that up. But yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs here talking about this Lions team. But my biggest concern is these injuries piling up, short week, and usually after those Thursday games, like you get like a little mini bye week. No, we don't get that luxury for another week. Like we got 2 more games within the next 11 days or something like that. So
I thought it was 3 games in 10 days or something.
3 games in 10 days. Yeah, something crazy. We got back-to-back Thursday games, so we don't even get the luxury of that like little mini bye week. We're banged up, man. We got to get through these next 2 games. Let's get 2 more wins. But just talking about this game, yeah, we left a lot of meat on the bone here. I think we left a lot of plays out there, but I loved what I saw from our defense. Our offense, I felt like at times the offensive line completely dominated, and then there were some plays where some of those big D tackles for the Indianapolis Colts, they made some plays. Kwity Paye had some pressures. Like we talked about it in our pregame show, like they got a good front seven. That's what I kind of expected. So yeah, even when I projected like 50 points in the pregame show, I was like, I know how hard that is. All right, I'd be happy with just a win. It's hard to score 50 points in the NFL. It's hard to score 30 points in the NFL. So I think it was a dominating game, but I think it could have been more convincing for the Detroit Lions. And some of that comes from Anthony Richardson helping us out a little bit, but some of that also comes from ourselves with some negative plays.
Yeah, no, I agree. So
who stood out to you offensively, William?
Offensively, man, just Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And I don't want to take anything from Myron St. Brown. He had a heck of a game. But you know what? I take it back, Steve. I got to digress. I'm going to talk about somebody who doesn't get talked about enough and probably won't ever get mentioned. Who stood out to me? Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I tweeted that out. He was having a hell of a game, and that's what I was going to say. He had some big third down catches, some yak yards. I thought he had a quiet game. Let me see if I can pull up his stats. 4 for 55. I mean, nothing that's going to blow away the stat sheet, but timely catches. I thought if you actually watch the game and you're not just looking at the box score, I thought he made some catches to keep drives alive that were huge.
Yeah, he played tough, man. Obviously, he was doing what he does in the blocking game all the time. But yeah, made some catches, had some yak, man. You know, broke a couple tackles, made a couple plays, man. He looked fast. That's not something that I think there's been his MO over the years, being fast. He looked pretty fast, breaking those tackles and making some plays. Obviously a big body. I think he stepped into that Josh Reynolds role and then maybe enhanced it a little bit. So love it.
My final question, William. I saw a lot of people on Twitter just hammering Kindle Vildor. Did you think he had that bad of a game? Is the criticism fair?
I think Kindle Vildor is
oh boy.
He's a one hair above a liability. I'm not going to use the word liability, but he was in a lot of bad situations today. Now, everything that I hear about him from the coaching staff and teammates says that he is a great teammate. He is a great practice player. And I think that's where we need to keep him on the practice field. So no knock on you, man. You have a role in this team. Obviously, Coach Campbell and the boys like you for a reason. It just wasn't enough for me today when I saw you out there. There was a lot of situations that looked really concerning is the best word that I can come up with. But with that said, I think that you hit it on the nose. Moving forward, we're probably going to see guys like Amik Roberson. Maybe he bumps out there because I know that we got guys banged up. Maybe we see Emmanuel Mosley get bumped out there. We have guys who can do the job. I liked what Dorsey did. If I'm comparing the two, I thought Dorsey was in some good positions. I saw Dorsey almost got a touchdown caught on him by Josh Downs, but he was right there. He was in pretty decent position where I saw some concerning situations. We're not going to get negative on game day. I'm going to stick to the rules, but I saw some concerning situations, and I can imagine when we start peeling through this film, it's going to be us needing to go in a different direction.
For me, just looking at this game with like the naked eye, no film review, just kind of what the broadcast showed us on some replays. I think Anthony Richardson's best throw of the day was, it might have been second quarter, might have been late first. I can't remember the down and distance of the clock, guys. Bear with me. But he made a hell of a throw to Michael Pittman on the left sideline. Almost had a touchdown. Kindle Vildor, I mean, it was just a perfect throw, a perfect pass, a perfect catch, a perfect route. Kindle Vildor had good coverage. Other than that one play where I'm like, okay, it's the NFL, shit happens. I saw him stop chasing his receiver on a couple routes. Just like, oh man, this dude's 5 steps ahead of me. I'm not even going to chase him. And thank God that AR-15 overthrew him a couple times, because there was the one play in the first quarter. I think it was to Pittman as well. That they even highlight Alex Pierce. That's who it was. Yes. They even highlighted it in the broadcast and said, Kindle Vildor just stopped running. Like, he literally just gave up from me. That's when I looked at it and said, that's a liability. That play is a liability. Now, if you just flat out get beat, it's one thing. But I literally watched a guy in the first quarter, when the game is still not decided either way, he stopped chasing a wide receiver and just watched him run away. And thank God he missed a wide open throw.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what we were in, because it looked like the safety was running over the top, and I think he was supposed to be underneath. He was supposed to keep running and carrying him underneath. I believe. I have to look at it on film and really to have more of an educated guess, but from the naked eye watching the game, that's what it looked like. It looked like Kirby Joseph was expecting to have an over and under, and he was supposed to be over the top, which he was in pretty decent position. So I don't know, man. I know Aaron Glenn leaves Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch a lot of leeway in roaming around. So you can't. There's no way that he's calling that stuff. Yeah, but there's just no way that I can fathom in my mind that he's letting those guys roam and somebody doesn't have a man responsibility for that guy. So it looked like he just gave up on it. But I'm excited to see what direction this thing goes. I know that I'm going to be watching the film this week and trying to figure out what Aaron Glenn's going to do. So we'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong, like probably I am most of the time.
I'll just go ahead and say it, Will. Kindle Vildor is a liability. And if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm taking a look at Daniel Jones, because he was playing some practice squad safety for the Giants his last week in the NFL. So I'm just going to say, I'll take Daniel Jones at corner over Kindle Vildor right now today. Book it, sign it. We'll do a Daniel Jones jersey giveaway, because DJ would be a better corner than Kindle Vildor. He's got more reps. Okay. Oh, we're talking about DJ Island. That's what we're going to be talking about here in Detroit when we sign him and we put Daniel Jones out there at cornerback over Kindle Vildor. That's where I'm at with this type of play.
Imagine the Detroit Lions signed Daniel Jones. What's going on to play corner? What is happening?
CB1. That's what he's going to be.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Did you see my boy David Long out there playing some linebacker today?
I saw a couple plays. I don't think he got out there too much, but I was locked in watching Zadarius Smith mostly today. I like watching those defensive ends. What did you see from David Long?
So David Long was flying around, man. He was the one that actually hurt, and I don't want to make it like he hurt him on purpose, but him playing the game of football the way that he plays, he was the one that actually hurt Josh Downs' shoulder. He was in on that tackle when Josh Downs hurt his shoulder, but he was flying around and he doesn't even know the defense yet. So there was a couple people that made some comments. He got activated late. I think he didn't get activated to the last minute, but that's something that the Lions typically do, especially when they bring somebody up off of the practice squad. So I think I actually made a comment to somebody today that was kind of talking trash to us about, hey man, what's up? He ain't even get activated. And somebody else said, oh man, like he's supposed to be good, but he got cut. I'm telling you, David Long fits the Lions perfectly. He's going to do some good things for the Detroit Lions. Now, by star, do we mean that everybody's going to start keying on him and forget about Jack Campbell and the rest of this defense, Brian Branch? No, but do I believe that he is going to be a solid starter for the Detroit Lions while Alex Anzalone is out? I do. Once he figures out this defense, he's going to be out there and he's going to be flying around. And he's going to have a major role for the Detroit Lions on this playoff run. Excited to see it. And I think he'll be able to help us through even when Anzalone comes back. Now, is he going to be starting over Anzalone? No, but when we go to that 3 linebacker role, I think Malcolm Rodriguez is going to have his hands full keeping David Long off of that field. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But when I watched Ben Neiman today, those very first few plays, I was like, because they released that David Long was probably going to be playing mostly special teams and he might not get too many snaps. When I watched Ben Neiman out there And in his defense, he was being asked to do something that he hasn't been asked to do all year. He was being asked to step outside of his normal role and scope of things to do. But when he was standing in the middle of the field, normally where Jack Campbell is, out there on an island, and I was watching people run away from him, I was like, oh, we're gonna see David Long today. and we did. So I was excited to see him out there, and I think the sky is the limit, man. He's only gonna get better as he learns the defense.
Yeah, I mean, good players get cut. You know what I was thinking when Khalif Raymond got hurt is, hey, who's going to be returning punts? That was my first thought. And I said, man, this would be a time where I wish we had Isaiah Williams, who got picked up by the Cincinnati Bengals immediately to come in and be that whatever wide receiver number you want to throw on at the end of his name, 4, 3, I don't care. But special teams is where Khalif Raymond really shines. So I don't want to see Amon-Ra St. Brown back there fielding punts every day. I'll just tell you that. So we got a lot of things to figure out in these next 4 days.
I was just about to say it. I was going to say, Steve, I'm not going to get into it right now, but Coach Campbell, we're going to have a talk tomorrow about Amon-Ra being back there because he almost got his head knocked off.
Yeah, maybe that's a role for Sione Vaki, possibly. I don't know, because I don't want to see my $25 million wide receiver back there fielding punts.
Buddy, I seen somebody tweet. I can't remember who it was, but they said, "Listen, at this point, I would rather have Kendall Vildor back there than Amon-Ra St. Brown."
Well, he wouldn't catch it; it would bounce off his face mask.
Hey, listen, at least just stand back there and let it bounce. Get out of the way.
Yeah. Anything else tonight, Will?
No, man. Excited to comb through this film, man, and get ready for this next one. Thanksgiving.
4 days. 4 days till Thanksgiving. We got to get that monkey off our back and get a Thanksgiving win. Chicago Bears coming to town. They're fighting for their lives out there. I think they ended up losing to the Minnesota Vikings, if I'm not mistaken. So short week for us, short week for them. We'll be getting into that game day episode a little sooner this week, probably Tuesday night maybe. So hit that like button, leave some comments, stick around. We'll be back later with another show.